Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be jumping into how to create snippets with your Shopify app. It's very common when doing a Shopify app that you create snippets in order to embed JavaScript on the client store, on the customer store, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to show you my example with my cart flipper app, which I always use. It's nice and simple and great to show shit. So when we click enable, I've now made a post request to my API that will create a snippet with the rotation snippets. When I click rotate slow, that will update the snippet in order to include the slow rotation. Now, what happens in the store, if you go to your online store, I hope a lot of people know this, but when you click actions, you can do edit code. Now, in your code, a you have a section where you include a snippet. So this is here. I'm including cart flipper. That's my snippet. I come in here, and then this is actually the code that's being created. You can see this is where I'm doing my rotation. This is I'm adding the transition on, adding some display. So you can embed all this from your application. You create it in a template, literal, whatever you want, and then put it onto the store of the user. This is how a lot of apps work. So if you install an app on your Shopify store, head into snippets. A lot of the time you're going to see stuff in here. Really clean way to work. When I disable my app, I can delete the snippet. I can remove the reference from team.liquid, so I can remove this, and it's like my app was never there. So it's a really easy way to put your stuff in, and then the user goes, oh, this app is shit, I don't want it anymore. They click disable, or they remove your app. You then remove your code. You see with some of these apps on the store, a lot of the reviews will say this app broke my team. And before I got into developing apps, well, not really developing apps, but learning how to develop apps with Shopify, I've noticed a lot of the reviews would say this app broke my team's not working anymore. And I was always thinking, how does this happen? And this is how this happens. It happens because people aren't cleaning up their code after they're doing it uninstall, or they're banging the code in here instead of using a snippet, which you're just looking for trouble because you're going to break the layout of the website. So that is the overview of what a snippet is. And when you create a snippet, now we're going to jump in over to the code. So here we are in the code. This is my index page. I'm only using one page for the entire application, and that is this page. When the user changes the setting toggle, that's the enable disable thing, we'll do a handle toggle function. Handle toggle will create animation config. That's my speed and my type. Create snippet, and then we'll update selected. Now this is React stuff. We're not going to get into this. I can do a different video on this if you like. But the main bit of code here is my snippet code. That is this guy down here. That is what you would have seen over in the theme for Shopify in the code section. This is like the CSS and the JavaScript. And then we have this render set timeout. It's just basically so I can do the double rotation. So this is how we're creating a snippet. I'm sending a post request with these headers, with this body, over to my create snippet. Now create snippet is a function I wrote. So if we jump on over here and we scroll down a little bit, you can see all the different methods I have. And here is create snippet. So create snippet, since Shopify currently doesn't support creating snippets using GraphQL API, you must use the REST API. Now, in order to use the REST API, I recommend you use this npm module. So I recommend you use this npm module that will help with the authentication for Shopify and how to create snippets. Okay, so back into create snippet. When this endpoint is hit, we then hit await create snippet and include. That is like a little util function I've created. Now, why is it called create snippet and include? It's called create snippet and include because it first creates the snippet, and this function also includes that snippet on the index page. So the team.liquid page you see here, include cart flipper. That's what's doing that, okay? So that's why I call it create snippet and include. I take in the Shopify authentication stuff. I get my team ID. I get the active team ID. You only want to affect the team that's currently being used, so the user's active team. We get the code. The code is the layout team code for Shopify. There's another helper function I wrote. This will get the code for the team.liquid file in Shopify. Okay. So if we head back here, we then hit our snippet code. So this is the include that you see over here. We included as a key name as an argument taken, so I can reuse this function to include different snippets if I would like. I get the index of head, index of length. This is kind of confusing, but what this is doing is let me include the Shopify stuff within the head, or sorry, the snippet stuff within the head of the team.liquid file. And then I'm doing my updated theme code.slice here, blah, blah, blah. That is how I'm inserting the code. This is kind of one of the trickier things with Shopify. When you update the theme, you don't really have a nice interface that you can play with. You're essentially taking in a blob of text, and you need to insert your little blob of text amongst the big blob of text. And that's how it's working right now. Maybe there's a better way. I'm pretty sure there's not, but I think in the future Shopify will add in a better way to interact with the theme, because this is a little bit messy. So you can see what I'm doing here now. I'm creating my asset, okay? So I'm creating my asset within my snippets. That's going to be fresh. And then I'm doing an update here because I don't want to replace team.liquid. I just want to add in my reference to my snippet file. Now we have update snippet. Works the same as before, but this time we don't need to include the snippet because we've already included it. So we just take in whatever the new code is and we just pass it in. We've removed snippet. This does two things. It removes a snippet reference as a snippet include. It removes that from the team.liquid file, and then it also deletes the file out of snippets. So you're updating your team.liquid, you delete and from the asset keyname.liquid, which is the argument passed in here. You don't want to remove team.liquid, you just want to remove the reference to your snippet file, if that makes sense. Finally, we have get snippet. Get snippet is just going to go and it's going to fetch the code for the snippet, so you can use in the front end and you can find out what settings the user is using or whatever. That is all you need to know about snippets. Very, very, very useful. It's the best way to work with apps is just create a snippet, embed the JavaScript code. When you're finished with the app, or when the user is finished with the app, just remove out your code. Really recommend going this route. I went through this kind of quickly because I think a lot of people just want to see the code or how to do this stuff. I think I went through the code quite well here. If you have any more questions on this or want me to dive into a specific part, just let me know. I'm happy to make these videos, help guys out, because I know I was a bit lost when I was starting out with this stuff. So yeah, that's all from me. Subscribe, like, do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Have a good day.